So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. Apologies for the little gremlins in the system there earlier on. Paddy couldn't hear me, and I couldn't hear me. So that's a bit of an issue. Although to some people, that could be a blessing in disguise, not being able to hear me. Paddy, what's the crack? We haven't seen you in ages, Paddy.
You saw me Sunday.
Yeah, but that's ages. That's fucking 5 days ago nearly.
You just haven't seen me since the match, that's all.
Haven't seen you since the match, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have come on, but there was a little bit of a scuffle up in the upper tier of the stand, and I wanted to get the family out of there, so we got out of there. But when I got out of there, I ended up being all the Man City fans, so I couldn't exactly come on and start talking about how shitty their club is and how pissed off I was with them while they're all standing looking at me. Not that they'd have done anything anyway; they're full of handbags and it was one of those days. But look, it's the last time I'll go there, I'd say. It's the last time I'll give them any money. The arrogance of the whole club just upset me something fierce over the weekend. I must have spoke to nearly 100 Man City fans over the weekend, and not one of them worried about any of these allegations. Not even the slightest bit worried. That's the arrogance. That's what all that money gives you. And
as a club, they never were like that. You know, arrogance wouldn't be what you'd associate with them with, you know?
Yeah, I grew up back in the 80s and the 90s with my dad being a Man City fan, going to Main Road with him. I loved it. They were great people, so down to earth. And now it's just like, if that's what success does to you, well, what's the point of football? If Aston Villa ever got so successful that they did that to me, you know, I'd prefer someone bloody put me down or take my season ticket off me.
Us Villa fans have no matter where they are in the world, they have a propensity to be able to bring it down a notch every so often. You know, we're always one move away from doom. You know, and I joke when I say that. I think it's just watch my little hot water bottle. That'll tell you how cold it's been in here over the day today. But that's a bit of a detraction there. But we, like as you said, that was Man City at the weekend, and we're not going to go over all ground there because look. As I say, we look forward towards Arsenal, and you're going again. You're off on your travels again, Paddy, off to Arsenal this weekend.
Yeah, don't know how I've put myself through this misery, but I'm going to do it anyway. But it might be my last one for a while. My son is on his midterm break, and we haven't been in a while, so we ended up going to the two of these because of how it works out. And he's just finished exams, and then he's back into it next week. So just a little treat for him to, you know, get his spirits up. Well, whether it does that or not is another story. Look, don't get me wrong. I had a great day Sunday. I got to see some old friends. We had a good laugh. We had a few pints and a good chat about everything other than Villa. So. You know, when I met for the first time ever, I met so many people around me in the stadium that actually watch and listen to the podcast.
Really?
So it was a good old laugh. Yeah, a guy that was sitting in front of me throughout the game stood up at the end and he goes, "How are you, Paddy? I love the show, and now I realise why you never do a watch along."
Yeah, we can't do a watch along. Like it's genuinely.
I couldn't. I'd be arrested if I done a watch along. I'm surprised I don't get arrested in the stadium wherever I am. So. It's just one of those things that doesn't suit me because for that 90 minutes I go totally head, neck and ears into the game and it just completely overtakes me. More so when I'm in the stadium than I am at home. But you know, I try to be measured when I have my family with me, but not always easy when stuff is going wrong on the pitch. But look, I hope we learned a lot from last weekend. There was some mistakes in there. I thought when we saw Coutinho and what Coutinho did to them last season, it was probably a mistake not to have him in from the start, and I think it would be a mistake not to have him into the start on Sunday. And it proves a lot that we we rely on Tyrone Mings so much that if he's not there, we're in trouble. So we need to get Diego Carlos back and fit. That's no dig on the man that I love, uh, Callum Chambers. He didn't have the best of days, but as I said in the pre match when he was picked, he needs a run of games before you see him, you know, being up to the pace. You can't expect him to come in against one of the best strikers in the world and be world class when you're not playing at that level week in, week out. So I felt sorry for him. I genuinely felt sorry for him on Sunday. I don't think there's a future for him at the club, but I genuinely felt
Not
sorry.
enough.
And I
No,
felt sorry for a lot of them, really. But yeah, there's a lot of things I could pick out about that game, but I think we just got to put it behind us now and look towards what we can do at the weekend. And there's a few changes in mind that I have that might need just a little bit of a tweak, and especially if we don't have Mings, I think we're in a spot of bother.
like yeah, I feel sorry for him up to a point. I don't feel sorry for him with that header for the second goal because like we call balls and strikes here all week long. When players do something that just boggles, that was a mind boggler for me. But I think in the second half he got the grips of things and he looked a more solid player, albeit
Yeah.
that we had a bit more of the ball in the second half.
And in fairness, they all looked better. They all looked better in the second half.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It's it was a proverbial game of two halves, and maybe we look better because we weren't in fear of Haaland when he went off. So yeah, it was a strange game, strange atmosphere, very very disappointing on a personal level from a Villa level for the FA to or the Premier League to announce those charges last week and really roil up Man City, because credit where it's due. When the chips were down, the crowd got behind them. Now, when I say they got behind them until they went 3-0 up, and then some people left and then never came back at half time, which goes for the Villa fans too. There was two sitting beside me, got up at half time and said goodbye. That's their prerogative. If they feel that way, I spoke to a guy today who left after 15 minutes, totally pissed off and disillusioned. So to come all the way from Birmingham to Manchester and leave after 15 minutes was unbelievable. It's
Even
not like
with 30 quid, were they 30 quid tickets?
30 quid tickets. It's not like the beer was anything special around Manchester. As I sent you a pint of Guinness in a horrible plastic
Jesus,
glass.
that was horrible looking thing.
Yeah. So it was a unique experience because of what the Premier League did last week and announcing those charges, and strategically, to do it last week instead of this week. And given the fact that they more or less admitted they got a couple of them wrong, they rushed it out to give Aston Villa the spanking and not do it the week after when they were playing Arsenal in 2 games in a week. So fuck you, Premier League. That's all I can say about that.
And it has had the opposite effect. Man City now sit top of the league. Arsenal, and we play Arsenal. Arsenal have it 1-4. And I don't know whether it's a good thing or whether it's a bad thing for Aston Villa coming up against Arsenal who haven't 1-4. But I thought last night, Paddy, when I looked at that Arsenal performance, like when their backline doesn't fire, or when a team gets in around their backline, and I know I'm talking about Man City here with regards to this, but when the team gets in around their backline and gets a goal, and then gets another one in quick succession. I'm not saying for any minute that we have any God-given right to do this. Arsenal haven't had that an awful lot this season. But when Man City did it, I thought there was no way Arsenal were getting back into it to win 2 or to draw 2-2 or even go back to win 3-2. When they went 2-1 down, I never thought that they were going to be able to claw that one back. They just didn't look like it. They brought on Trossard. They brought on who else did they bring on? Gosh, my mind has gone blank at the moment. But they brought on a couple of players there to try and mix it up in the second half. Fabio Vieira came on, I think, as well. And while they huffed and they puffed and they had the ball in the back of the net, and it was ruled off, I think, for offside. They had a couple of chances. It just didn't work. They didn't look like they could get back into it. Now, once again, who do you want to play when you're on a bad run of form is going to be Aston Villa. So I'm hoping that this early kickoff will suit us from the point of view that we've had a full week to recover. They've obviously played on a Wednesday night, and
Yeah.
that loss is going to hurt them. I think the crowd didn't respond well to that game.
No, they didn't, and they were great during the game. I thought I actually enjoyed the atmosphere and the game itself. There was a couple of dodgy decisions thrown in there as well, I thought. But look, it's if there was ever a good time to play Arsenal, it could be a good time. As bad as it was to play City last week, I thought it was a really bad time to play them. This is probably the best time to play Arsenal, but their tails will be up. But if they try and force the issue, I think we'll punish them. But I'm not holding out any hope with that. I'm just saying it's probably the better time to be playing them, having not 1-4. They had one draw in there, hadn't they? Was it Brighton? I can't remember who the
Brentford,
draw was.
Brentford, the one where they should have won that game. You know, it was clearly offside, and who was it? Lee Mason forgot to draw the lines. Paddy, actually, before it goes out of my mind, do you want to tell me who's our fourth official for this weekend?
I couldn't really care less who the fourth official is, but I know Simon Hooper is the referee, and I know the fourth official was stood down last week, or taken off a game or something. Like, look, they're all as bad as each other. We saw it last night. There was a stonewall penalty for me for Arsenal, and they just waved it away. Whereas the wind changed direction and blew over Jack Grealish at the weekend, and they couldn't wait to give the fucking penalty. So it doesn't matter. These referees, the whole team, every single one of them, are totally incompetent. I've just lost complete faith in them over the I'm rapidly losing faith in football, and these people don't realise what they're doing, but they're just an absolute farce of an organisation, this PGMOL. I don't know how they've got away with it so long. They got rid of Mike Riley, they brought in Howard Webb. What difference is that going to make? He wasn't exactly impartial during his time as a referee either.
No.
How many pictures of Howard Webb did you see with a Man United jersey superimposed on him? Because that's what he's famous for.
Yeah.
So Leopards don't change their spots, although the referee that we have this weekend, Simon Hooper, who I always said was my favourite Premier League referee, came up for the championship, did a great job, always explained to the players what he's doing, and now he's just an arrogant prick with a whistle in his hand. He's the same as the rest of them. So he's changed his whole philosophy on refereing to get to the top. So good luck to him. I hope he enjoys it, but I certainly don't enjoy looking at
it. So we'll get to, and I know you mentioned it a moment ago about the likes of Tyrone Mings and that, but I think that's really going to be where everybody's eyes are going to be mainly drawn to at the weekend. Will Tyrone Mings be in there at centre half? I've got other positions though that I want to see addressed. I think midfield might be overhauled at the weekend. I also think that Alex Moreno will come in at left back. Luke, I'm just not seeing defending from Luca Dean at the moment. I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing it to the caliber. And I'm not saying that he can't get it back or he's a bad player or anything like that. I just think that when you've got the option to stand a player down for a week or two, I think that we should take that. But I think midfield will be revamped. I wouldn't be surprised, as you said, to see Coutinho start. I wouldn't be surprised to see John McGinn start. Actually, I think John McGinn has to start.
I think so too.
It's not even that I wouldn't be surprised. I think I would be surprised if he didn't start. And you know what, Paddy? Without going in on Leon Bailey, like I think you start John Duran. I don't think there's anything we lost by in this game starting an unknown quantity like him, because we're seeing Leon Bailey is gun shy at the moment. He's and this is the second or third time it's happened to him in his career at Aston Villa. Only been here a year and a half, and he suffers from bouts of visible lack of confidence, and that's fine. And the club needs to help him through that, but we can't have him on the field. I think at this stage,
what I saw at the weekend was a visible lack of interest, and that's worse. And that annoyed the shit out of me at the weekend. The beauty of being in the stadium, you can see what his movement is off the ball, and it was non-existent. It was like a man that was playing with lead in his boots. And he wasn't the only one. I'm going to make this observation now, and I know all our training has changed, and there's a lot of extra training going on, but the players look tired. I watched them in the warm-up as well. They look tired. So we can't legislate for that either. That could be something that's going on behind the scenes. We know that there's extra training sessions going on. We know there's more classroom-based training going on. Are the players tired? I think they might be. So it's no harm, I think, to put Moreno in there, to bring in Matty Cash again, to put McGinn back in, to put Coutinho in there. But most of all, I loved watching John Duran. I just watched the fella that looked like he won a competition to get on the pitch and was going to do everything he bloody could to make sure he was picked the next day. So great work rate from him, absolutely phenomenal. And you just don't know what you're going to get. So if there was ever a day to put him in there, it's this weekend for sure.
I think so too. At home versus what 2 weeks ago were the champions elective of England. Bring him in. He's a bit of heft in him. I liked how he threw his arse around there. He's obviously been learning from John McGinn, except he was doing it like 7 foot in the sky when he was jumping for the ball. He's going to get pinged by referees for that. He's not Harry Kane. He's going to get pinged for it. But I like that. Obviously, he cracked one off the crossbar, and I think that it would give the fans a big lift. And to be honest with you, I couldn't care less if he came in and had a 5 or 6 out of 10. We're at this stage whereby seeing him getting relevant game time in the Premier League and building upon that week on week at the moment is going to be a positive, I think, for us, because we're in it for the long haul with him, and we hope that he's going to increase in his potential. But I want to go back to the John McGinn call a moment ago, because there's something with Jacob Ramsey since he's come back from injury. He just doesn't look quite right. It's not that he doesn't fit into the Unai Emery thing. I saw on Twitter some people saying that Jacob Ramsey doesn't seem to fit in with Unai Emery. He absolutely did before the World Cup break. He did before he got injured. And I think there's just a little bit in him since the injury that he's just not affecting the game as much as he used to before. Now, statistically, I used to when we were putting together midfielder statistics and stuff like that. Jacob Ramsey's stats were they never jumped off the page as being anything special. But what he used to do is he used to affect the game. Like when he got the ball, he was good. He had a decent assist rate, a decent goal rate, or a decent progressive carry rate. And when he doesn't have that, and he becomes very ineffectual within the game. And once again, I know that I'm talking about, this is the second player that I would say maybe stand him down for a game or two and give someone else a go in there. I think that's where John McGinn should come in for a Jacob Ramsey. And I'm okay with Buendia maybe getting another run if it's not Coutinho. I'm okay with that. But I do think that we need to see a John McGinn in there. Maybe bring Ramsey off the bench for 25 minutes to cover for the tired legs. What do you think, Paddy? Did you notice anything from being in the stadium at the weekend?
Well, apart from what I just said about what I thought a lot of players look tired, I just think it needs a little bit of a freshening up, and it could be a lot of a freshening up. There could easily be 4 or 5 changes in this team, and nobody would bat an eyelid. And I mean that. I thought Ashley Young looked leggy, albeit it was a strange kind of first half where I'm not sure which one of them knew where they should be. Ramsey was kind of looked like he'd been given the task to marshal Jack as much as he could, but we all know that's an impossible task. Like, so it
really
meant that
form, isn't he?
It meant that Young was kind of caught out of position a few times and was just a little bit alien. I felt they probably should have left Young to it, and left Young put something in on him early on. That's what I'd have done anyway. The minute he got the ball out in the wing the first time, I'd have just gone through him and man and ball. But anyway, we won't talk about him for too long. Look, McGinn has had his rest. He's had his injury. He's probably the fresher of those coming back in. I think Moreno should be fresh. Duran should definitely be fresh. Coutinho should be fresh. So that's just to name a few. Special shout out to Ollie Watkins. I've always never been his biggest fan. I finally come around to the idea that there's a place for him in that team if we can find the proper partner for him. Because he actually frightens defenders. You can see it. They backed off him for that goal. And I actually didn't celebrate it. I sat there waiting on some flag to go up or some VAR call. It was just expected at this stage. But other than Ollie Watkins, who I think his position is safe, I think anyone across the top half of the pitch could be changed. And with Mings coming back in, I think the only other player who's guaranteed a spot is Boubacar Kamara, Douglas Luiz, and Ezri Konsa.
Mm. Calling Stato to aisle 5, and call me out in this if it isn't correct. We will get to those other fantastic stats that you popped in a moment. But if I'm not mistaken, I was going to say Louis Barry because I was reading the comments. Ollie Watkins has the fourth highest goal to game ratio for Aston Villa. Oh, geez, I've butchered it. I think something since the Martin O'Neill era or something like that, or maybe even in the Premier League. I can't remember what it is, but like 34 goals in 100 games is not
105.
bad going. 100 league games.
Yeah.
Because he had his 100 league performance or league appearance at the weekend. Isn't a bad return considering that what is it, Gabriel Ogbonnahor with 89 goals or 87 goals or something like that is our top league goal scorer. And I think that Ollie Watkins can get double figures again this year. Well, he's on 7 goals already, so I'd be very pissed off if he didn't get double figures at this rate. That would mean that he'd have to go completely impotent between now and the end of the season. But his finish, I thought his finish against Man City was really good. I don't think Ederson expected him to finish it the way that he did.
He certainly didn't expect him to go across him. No, I don't think so.
I didn't expect him to go across him. When he went across him and a nestle in the bottom of the net, I went, what a finish. And maybe that's what he needs to do. Maybe he just needs to swing a leg at it. Because we've said it so often. Remember against, who did we play before that? Who did we play before Arsenal? God, my mind has gone blank. Leicester. Remember against Leicester when he took that extra touch, and even the commentators are saying, why is he taking an extra touch? Swing a leg at it. Maybe that's what he's decided to do now. And at the end of the day, he's kind of said, look, if they whistle into the back of the net, then fair play to me. So fair, and that is right. I think fair play to him. He's been rejuvenated since Unai Emery's come in. But as you said, finding a right strike partner for him is going to be very important. And who's to say it isn't John Duran? Well, it's either going to be John Duran or Leon Bailey, because there isn't anybody else there. The cupboards are bare apart from that. So
Bertie is there.
Bertie, yes, you're dead right. Bertie is there. And
I just think we need somebody else just to give them a little bit more to think about at the back. And I just think John Duran being that little buzzer bee in around Ollie Watkins and playing closer to him than Leon Bailey does could be something that we could look at from the start. That would be my wish for Saturday. I don't know how bad the Ings injury is, and we'll probably know tomorrow, because that'll be surely the first question. If the incompetent journalists don't ask them what he had for fucking breakfast instead of asking them the questions we want to hear. But we need to know if Ings is going to be fit before the match, because
Mings.
If Ings on the brain is
hard. All habits die hard, Paddy.
So I'm praying that's the most important thing for me the weekend, is that Tyrone Mings starts, and then we start to shuffle the pack further up the pitch. That needs to be done. Whether he'll do it or not, we don't know how stubborn this guy is. We haven't been obviously watching him for too long. So he has persevered with Leon Bailey. I think the game is up. I think he's had enough chances, and it's time to change it.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we like that it's okay to stand players down for a game or two, or 3, or whatever the case is. He did it with Matty Cash.
Exactly, that's probably what happened. He hasn't been rotated enough. Yeah.
He did it with Matty Cash, and Ashley Young came in, and then Ashley Young kept his place. At that period of time, we would be saying, "Oh, Matty Cash gets back in after the World Cup," and we've seen fleeting little of him. And we saw little of him prior to the World Cup as well, since Unai Emery came in. So we know that he does it, and I think it's a good policy to do that. When you've got a settled squad, you're able to do that, because players know that they just have to work harder to get back into the team. You're not bombing anyone out of the squad as such. It just focuses people's minds. Focuses people's and gives them a break, as I said, Paddy. And I see a couple of comments there, people asking how could the team be tired. And I think you kind of said it there as well. It's different training methods and getting used to those training methods. And we're only 8, maybe 12 weeks into this, and we had the World Cup, yes, I know, in the middle of it. But there is a potential for those different training methods to be to not be hitting home.
You have to get used to. You have to get used to the whole setup again. And as we all know, there's an awful lot of classroom-based training involved with Unai Emery, and with his English,
mental tiredness, is it more
mental tired? Yeah, and his English is not completely as good as we would like to see. Like we know that from the interviews. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to get his point across, especially to the English speaking players. So there's going to be a lot of days where they've got long days in that training ground, and to me they look tired. People are perfectly entitled to their opinion. That's just what I think.
I can't say as I saw tiredness out in the field. I could see lapses of concentration. I could see the fact that I could see a nervousness. I could see I'm going to say it. I could see an overwhelmed kind of feeling after 10 minutes in that first half. It was just wave after wave after wave after wave coming at them. And I think they're all kind of natural kind of feelings to get. But, you know, it's the good teams, it's the good players, it's the leaders that kind of rise above that overwhelmed feeling and kind of gather people around them and garrison people. I didn't see the tiredness. But then again, I wasn't at the game. You had a completely different view. You saw them in the warm-up and so on and so forth. So, you know, as I say, that's your opinion of the situation, which is completely and 100% valid as well. But Arsenal are going to come here, and they've got a couple of injuries of their own, Paddy. You know, the man who very nearly joined Aston Villa 2 years ago. I'm trying to figure out. I wonder would he be thinking back? Maybe, damn, I should have joined Aston Villa. Emile Smith-Rowe, he's going to be out. Thomas Partey is going to be out. It looks like obviously they're going to be without Gabriel Jesus, somebody who I think they're really missing at this moment in time. And I think if they have him against Man City, that just his movement and his sheer trying to get one back against the scorned lover would have made a big difference there. Obviously, they're going to have Jorginho is going to be in there. Their back four is now settled at White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko. And you know, we're going to have to be very, very wary of the two boys on each wing, and Martinelli and Saka, who up until 2 weeks ago were arguably the two form wide players in the Premier League. So superbly formidable team that they will have at the weekend. And Villa, like as you said, Tyrone Mings and the other injuries that we have, they're really going to need to be back and firing fit again. I think but I still think we can get something from this, Paddy. I think we can frustrate teams enough. And let's not forget though that we've Unai Emery coming back to prove a point against Arsenal for the first time in the Premier League since he was sacked. And I wonder, is that going to have a bearing on the game?
It should do with the players. The players will want to do it for him, I would imagine. It's a difficult one. Look, it's a factor in the game, but the biggest factor in the game is Arsenal are completely and utterly, you know, they're on the floor at the moment, so they're going to need some guidance from somewhere. We know Arteta's a great guy. He's got magic out of these players so many times over the last couple of years. It took a while to get him there, so he's going to want to get one over on Unai Emery, I'm sure, as well. So the mitigating factors here are injuries and who we've got available to us. I think we're in trouble without Mings. I think they'll rattle us early on if that's the case. So we'll see.
AVFC Stato. Oh, actually, firstly, Matt. Sorry, I completely missed this. Matt Hanlon again. Thank you so much. And I want to say the best use of the word Pollyannish that I could have possibly seen today. It's not a word that crossed my radar, and brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. AVFC Stato has some statistics as well. First one here is 9 of Aston Villa's 34 Premier League goals conceded this season have come in the opening 15 minutes of games, both a league high total and percentage. However, the Villains have also scored a league high share, 31% of their Premier League goals in this time frame this season, which is 8 from 26. Aston Villa lost 4-2 against Leicester in their last home league game, but haven't lost consecutive matches at Villa Park since April of last year. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, Aston Villa have won 5 out of their last 6 Premier League games that have kicked off at 12:30 on a Saturday, keeping a clean sheet in 4 of those wins. And how we would love that at this. I'd love that again this weekend. And you know what, Paddy? I was going to ask some more kind of questions to kind of keep this one going on, but I think we're going to end on that because that's a nice statistic to have, and it's a nice one to have finish on a happy ending. And not that one, for any of you out there with gutter minds, and that might be something that we might bring into the podcast. We might have a happy ending at every match preview that we have in future. So, Paddy, what time are you flying out at?
Whatever time tomorrow evening, can't remember.
Is it the 9 o'clock or the 7 o'clock flight?
Something like that, yeah.
7 o'clock from Shannon, yeah. I was looking up flights myself. I'm not too far behind you in getting over to Villa Park again. I have one more trip in me this season. I think I'll get over for one game, and I've got to pick it and choose it. It's looking potentially like Easter weekend that I might get over, but more to come on that. Right, Paddy, I wish you all the best in your safe travels over there. For everybody else going to the game, if there's anybody travelling over, I know there's a contingent of people from Ireland going over to it. I wish you all safe travels as well. Here's hoping that Aston Villa do the business. I hope they get to bed early tonight, early tomorrow night, and that maybe somebody has sets off the fire alarm or something in the Arsenal hotel, or does some shenanigans that gives us that extra 10% that we get something out of this game. But thanks again, everybody, so much for joining us here on the podcast. Thanks a million for everything you do. We're going to leave it at that. I'm also going to be over on the Villa View in about 5 minutes' time. I've just been messaged to remind me of, because I fucking completely forgot all about it. So thanks, Adam Bates, for that. But thanks a million, everybody. We'll be back with a team sheet tantrum and a post-match on Saturday. So we'll see you then. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.